What's going on, everyone? So I want to talk about Jared Vanderbilt because he's been working hard in the lab. He's somebody that I think, even without an improved shot, arguably should be starting alongside Luka, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton. Now, I just think his defense and his defensive versatility, I did a whole video breaking down how he was the most versatile defender, not my opinion, actual statistical fact. Did a whole video on that with Jared Vanderbilt. And that was with him really looking like he was missing a step. That was with him kind of, not fully Jared Vanderbilt. Obviously, he was coming off of injury. And look, I get when I've talked about Jared Vanderbilt in the past and working on his shot, and there was videos and word of him working on his corner three earlier in the offseason, and there's videos going around now of him kind of continuing to work on his shot. That's kind of been the big priority this offseason. And anytime I've talked about it, people usually go, "Oh, it's the Ben Simmons thing all over again," and whatnot. But a couple things. One, the guy's going to improve. He's still very young. He's 20. He just turned 26, so he's 26 years old, right? But on top of that, he's a guy that had already supposedly improved and worked on his three-point shot. We got to see it for like one game in which he was like 3 of 5 from three-point range on, and then he got hurt. And so we never got to see that growth and improvement. And it's not so much, because I've talked about it before, right? Like, guys can hit shots in the open gym, right? There have been Simmons videos, for example, which is why people usually reference them, right? Of him just like knocking down like 10 threes in a row or whatever it was, right? Guys in the open gym can knock down threes. It's very different to do it in-game situations with a hand in your face, guys running out full speed at you, and you got to knock it down with some confidence, right? But open gym, there's no one. Yeah, they're doing, a little pole stuff or, guys there, but it's not the same. It's not the same environment, the same atmosphere, the same pressure, all of those things. Like, there's no stakes involved if you miss. It's just like, take another one, right? Like, it's not the same scenario. But again, like, you see the improvement in his shot. You see the little hitch, right? It's a lot more smoother, a lot more cleaner. It's coming and rolling off the fingertips a lot better, right? And we don't need him to be 43% from three-point range, right? Like, we've talked about this in the past, right? Like, he's like a serviceable three. Like, can he be 34% from three-point range? And he would be one of the premier 3-and-D guys in the league. You look at a lot of like the top end, 3-and-D guys, most of them aren't 40+% from three-point range. They're usually in that like 34 to 36 range, right? You even look at a guy like a Jaden McDaniels, guys like that, a Herb Jones, guys like that. Like, they'll have seasons here and there, but like, you look at the career average, you look at some of their seasons, they're like 30, 32%, but it's just, again, it's them being serviceable, right? It's them kind of averaging out to like 34, 35%. If Jared Vanderbilt can do that, right? If he can just be 34 to 36%. Obviously, I'd love if he could be 38 to 40% in a perfect world, but again, just kind of around league average. I mean, that could solve all of the Lakers' problems, like, genuinely. Because, like, you look at the Lakers and it's like, what's the biggest need right now for this team? What's the biggest kind of glaring hole? And it's the starting three. Rui, excellent three-point shooting. He's much improved over the years, moving without the basketball, being a slasher and cutter. With Luka, he's going to eat and play off of that. Rui Hachimura, I like him. I've talked about, I don't want to trade him. I just think he's kind of the odd man out at this point. His next contract, he's probably going to get paid pretty well. It's just like, is that best for the Lakers? What do the Lakers do? And I just think he's your most sizable, tradable, expiring asset that actually has some value, and teams would value, especially closer to the trade deadline, that you might be able to pull something off to get something done. That's why and how I look at Rui Hachimura. But it's the lack of defense from Rui. He had moments and stretches to his credit, but he's not somebody that you consistently can rely on defending 1 through 3 for you, right? And switching on guards and that. He's more of that lower center of gravity, matching up with the 4s and the 5s of this league, and does well in that regard. That's why you see him all the time play the small ball 5, and Lakers usually have success because he's big enough, strong enough to where he can kind of muscle and stay within the realm of defense as far as guarding these bigger opponents. He can defend bigger because he is so strong. He is so physical. got that lower center of gravity to where he can kind of just plant down, can't really move, right? But we need that quicker, twitchier, athletic, defensive three that can defend 1 through 3. It's why there's a lot of talks about Marcus Smart starting at the 3 over Rui Hachimura. Me personally, I would go with Marcus Smart at the 2 with Jared Vanderbilt at the 3 because Luka likes to get going early. Right? He'll take like half of his field goal attempts in the first quarter. He's a guy that wants to drop 20 to 30 in the first quarter. Right? That's what he does and kind of uses that to set the tone for the rest of the game. So to me, it's like, hey, how do you better balance that? You go with the defensive unit. You put a Marcus Smart and a Jared Vanderbilt out there defensively to where now if Luka's cooking, you're starting to create that separation. You're starting to create that gap in order to better run away with these games. And then you sprinkle the balance throughout the course of the games. And who you start doesn't have to necessarily be who you finish with, right? So like if you have a good cushion and lead and now it's like, okay, now we just need the offense to kick in and close this out first, then you could go there. You go with Austin Reeves or Rui Hachimura in the closing unit. Right? But ideally, I would go with Jared Vanderbilt and Marcus Smart. Now, if Jared Vanderbilt has a serviceable 3 and he can consistently knock it down at a 34, 35% clip, which again, league average is around like 36 and some change. So if he can be around that range, I think, seriously, he could be the answer for the Lakers. Jake LaRavia is another one, and we'll, I'll break down these players more once we get closer to training camp. So about 3 weeks, I'll really go over, because I want to wait. Whether Lakers make a trade or not, or do anything or not, I want to wait till we get there and we kind of have a better idea, because I don't want to be breaking down all these guys and then, a week from now, they're all traded, and it's like, well, there goes that, right? So rather kind of wait until we get closer, and I'll break down LaRavia and these guys. But Jared Vanderbilt, he's somebody that is willing to put in the work, right? He put in the work a couple seasons ago, and he unfortunately was rewarded with having to have double foot surgery and got hurt. And then last offseason, he wasn't able to work. Because I've seen a lot of people be like, well, where did that working get him last year? And it's like, again, it's important to know the story, right? It's important to know the context. He wasn't able to work out last season. He wasn't able to work on his shot and get into a rhythm and get into a flow and do all those things because he was basically bedridden for a month, right? And then had to like walk and do all these other things, right? Like, again, he had double foot surgery. Like, it's not just some like minor thing. It wasn't like, oh, he sprained his finger or something, right? So, and then he had to like learn to shoot and all that stuff again. So of course he wasn't going to be his normal self all season last year. And it did look like he was a bit slower and the timing was a little off. And there was, his shot wasn't quite where it needed to be and all that stuff, right? Because again, he was working through that. Now he has a full off season where he's going to be able to kind of continue to gear up, continue to ramp up, continue to do the things necessary so that way, hopefully he can have that impact. Because again, Lakers could really use a two-way wing at the starting 3 spot. Jared Vanderbilt can be that, then that's perfect, right? Like, why go use assets on Andrew Wiggins if Jared Vanderbilt can be a better version of that for you? If Jared Vanderbilt can knock down the 3 with consistency, he's already a better defender. He's already a more versatile defender. The problem is just he's a liability offensively. However, he won't be as bad and as negative of an impact with Luka, right? Problem that we had with Anthony Davis and LeBron is they want the paint cleared. Right? Like LeBron, what does he want? He wants to either look down and shoot a 3, or he wants to put the ball on the deck, bully his way to the basket, and finish, going left. If he can't, kick out to shooters. Right? That's his game. So Anthony Davis, right? Same thing. Anthony Davis, he wants to kind of, jab step, beat guys off the dribble with the first step, get into the lane and do the little, floater in the lane, or just that little, get within that 10-foot range and then shoot over the top, the little fadeaway or the little elbow or whatever, right? Like, that's usually his game. So he doesn't want the paint packed. So, what did teams do in the playoffs? They packed the paint, right? And LeBron James and Anthony Davis, yeah, they can shoot over the top, but it's not like their forte. It's not like what they want. Luka, on the other hand, he doesn't mind it. He's okay with the paint being packed. Why? Because he can shoot over the top. That is his game as a jump shooter, but also he wants to create that dribble penetration. He wants the defense to collapse and then have that easy outlet or the cutter coming and he can kick it out to those guys, right? Still have the shooters and stuff as available, but he's fine with the congestion. He doesn't mind the congestion. So you can have Jared Vanderbilt out there with Luka, and if he is struggling or he's, again, he is 34% from three-point range, it's not as important because even at 34, 35, 36%, like let's say he's like 36.5%, teams will take their chances in the playoffs to sag off of Jared Vanderbilt. But again, if Jared Vanderbilt can knock down with that consistency, Luka Doncic, he doesn't care, right? He's willing to get and shoot over the top, have Jared Vanderbilt move without the basketball, and I just think it'll be better. It's just, can he get to the level of shooting to where he can punish teams for leaving him open in the corner? Where now it's like his defense and his offense are better balancing out. Obviously, he needs to better finish at the rim and his hands and stuff, but a huge step in the right direction with just him consistently knocking down the three ball. He is literally one of the best 3-and-D wings in all of basketball if he's just at like 34% from three-point range. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. We enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.